Hey, Veronica here. Welcome to the Experts Corner. Our special guest today is from Kenya, and he is a director at Swift Intellect. He will share more about himself. Jones.
Thank you very much, Veronica. And you have a very nice, lovely platform which you actually share a lot. I've been able to go through some of the resources that you've been sharing, and I actually feel very encouraged because the kind of information that you're giving people out there is very useful. The kind of guests that you have are actually very motivational, and I'm very much honored to be a guest today. My name is Baraza, and I'm the founder of Swift Intellect. Swift Intellect started off in 2013. I was a second-year student at Maseno University then. Then a couple of years later, I got so much interested in matters of cybersecurity, and that's when Cyberspace Kenya came. Actually, Cyberspace Kenya is a program of Swift Intellect. It's not an independent entity. So Cyberspace Kenya is the arm of Swift Intellect that is largely responsible for user awareness on matters of cybersecurity, offering trainings, offering talks, and all that. We actually have quite a number of programs under Cyberspace Kenya, targeting high schools. That's the Cyber Defense Club. We also have the Human Power Project, which is targeting universities and colleges. So Swift Intellect is actually largely responsible with a number of cybersecurity initiatives, but we also offer consultancy services on software development and also cybersecurity. I'm also the big ambassador to Kenya, that is the Blacks in Cybersecurity, and I'm also a member of Kenya Cybersecurity and Forensics Association, KCSFA. I'm actually the secretary to the User Awareness and Training Working Group. I'm a published author. I also speak, offer talks, and I'm a panelist. And I'm also passionate about information security, and that's why I feel so encouraged when I see such innovation, such creativity coming up. Thank you.
Wow, that's an awesome profile, Jones.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Jones, we have different types of hackers. We have the gray hat hackers, we have the white hat, and we also have the black hat. So tonight, we would like you to take us through the mind of a black hat hacker. Go ahead.
Thank you, Veronica. It's actually an interesting conversation when it comes to hackers because just as you rightly pointed out, you have the white hat, you have the black hat, and you have the gray hats. And mostly people tend to look at the white hats and the gray hats per se. Many people have a misconception when it comes to the black hats. So this is a very interesting question when it comes to what goes through the mind of a black hat hacker. And to answer that question, I would say that that depends on the hacker's motive and the method used. But before I get into that, I would like to mention a few misconceptions that surround black hat hackers. One is that black hats are essentially the hooded ones. You find the guy with a hood somewhere locked up in a room on a computer type. It doesn't work like that. Those are guys that actually put in some kind of work into what they do. They do their reconnaissance, they identify their targets, and also, I would say it's not that as easy as many people tend to think it is. The second misconception is that they all have to be geniuses. Because people think that to get into a particular system, you have to be a genius, you have to be a geek to a particular level. But at this current setting that we have guys who basically just use tools to get into a particular system. They exploit certain vulnerabilities in a system, and that is it. They just get it. They don't know how the system works. They don't know how the tools work. And so they're not necessarily geniuses or experts in that particular field. It's just that they are opportunistic. They're just taking advantage of a particular system. Then the other misconception is that black hats are more or less often enticed by money because they think that when I hack, I'm going to get a lot of money out of it, or I'm going to maybe, many misconceptions are always around money. But then again, just as I mentioned before, it depends on the method used and also the motivation of the black hat hacker. Because there are those black hat hackers who actually come to you for revenge. Perhaps you did something wrong to them in the past, and so they want to get back at you. I'll give an example of, say, somebody is working for your company, then you find a way of maligning that person until they get out of the job, or they get fired, to get arrested or something. So out of that, that kind of anger, they start to think about how ways in which they can get back at you. So that's a motivation, because now they want to revenge, they want to get back at you. So revenge also serves as a motivation. And also, we've seen some of the riots that are activities that is happening in the US when it comes to matters of Blacks Lives Matter. So we've seen the Anonymous came back, and they actually tried to expose some of the activities that were happening back there. So those Anonymous, I wouldn't say that they are black hat in the sense that they were attacking or they're coming back for revenge. Rather, we call them hacktivists because they are part of a group that is advocating for a particular cause. So that kind of advocation for different causes, that is also a motivation towards a person being considered as a black hat or any other kind of a hat. Then also you have the suicide hackers who basically they have nothing to lose. I'll come into your system so that you can capture me, because I actually feel like I'm done with life, so maybe I should go arrest at committee or some other place. So I just get into your system, you leave all the footprints there, come and capture me, take me wherever you are. So there are so many different kind of motivations that influence a black hat hacker. And so the misconception that it's everything to do with money, no, that should get away with that. So specifically, what goes through the mind of a hacker? Well, one thing I would like to say is that no target is small or big for a particular hacker, because some people tend to say that I have nothing to lose. So even if a hacker was to get into my system, I won't lose. So, and they also have those family companies that say that, okay, we are a small company, maybe based in Kenya, and we don't have much information or data that hacker can utilize or can make use of. And that gives us that false sense of security, because we think, okay, they'll target big corporations like Safaricom and all that, for leaving yourself very vulnerable and out there exposed. So no target is small, and that's one thing that a black hat hacker always thinks about, because they tend to categorize all hackers, all targets as more or less the same. And also, so another example that I often give is that well, you may say that you have nothing to lose. Maybe I'm interested in hacking you, Veronica, and I know that you have a friend. Let's say, let me just give a random name like Maggie. I know you have a friend called Margaret, and in you. So what I can do is that I can simply send you, so that because I know coming directly to you may not be possible, but going through Maggie may be possible. So while you think that you have nothing to lose, maybe you may be exploited to do something other than just a simple hack to somebody. Your account can be used to maybe used for laundering money and all that unknowingly. So that conception that black hat hackers always go for the big companies, always go for those big people, drop it, because your account can be used for anything. Then second thing that comes into the mind of a black hat hacker is the fact that they tend to exploit vulnerabilities. And I always say that no system is 100% secure. So unless you tend to secure your system and make it have a backup, or come up with ways in which you can add layers and layers of security, you'll always be exploited. Because what most black hat hackers do is that they have automating scripts which maybe they sent through, let's say they captured your IP address of the company. So what they do is that they just maybe try to probe around, see if they are ports and all that. And also we have Google. Google is actually a very huge platform which gives out people's information for free. Interact with that particular target. So black hats, they tend to exploit vulnerabilities, whereby if you fail to update your system, for instance, they'll always find a way of going around it. And that brings me to the third point, which more or less is back for the second option, whereby you say that vulnerabilities are based on automation. Whereby, as a black hat hacker, for me, I'll not say, I'm not a black hat hacker, so let me not say as a black hat hacker. For black hat hackers, what they do is that they tend to find the simplest way in. So, and as opposed to maybe having to go and look for all those complicated ways in which I can get into a system. They go for the simplest way in which they can get into a system, because we have actually 5 stages of hacking. And that cuts across all the black hats, the white hats, and the gray hats. They do the reconnaissance, then they do the scanning, then they gain access, then they cover their tracks. Those are the 5 steps. So regardless of that particular system, they always find its weakness. That's how they get into a system. So in as much as we tend to say that we have the best firewall system in the world, we have the best web application firewall, we have the best IDS, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention systems, they may not go for that. They may just exploit someone who works in that particular company, which then again brings me to the black hat hackers. More or less, it's a large part of it, because I'll give an example. For instance, let's say I want to hack a particular company X, and I don't know much about that company. So what I'll do is that I'll go to LinkedIn, then find out as much information about the people who work that company X and the particular level in which they work, then use that information to come up with an exploit plan. For example, I'm interested in hacking the manager, for instance. So how do I know that Jones is the manager of a particular company? I'll go to the social networks, I'll go to the LinkedIn as I mentioned, and so, okay, Jones is the manager, so Jones naturally becomes my primary target. And being a primary target, how do I get information about, let's say, their system, and I want to let me use an example of their website. I want to get login credentials to their admin panel. And I know Jones must have those kind of information. So what I do is that I go again, maybe I befriend Jones if he's on Facebook or if he's on Twitter. I befriend him. Then I start checking out what does he like, what does he do. For example, Jones likes to take coffee. So he goes to Java House, for example, every Tuesday. And each time he goes there, he has to take a picture and show that, oh, I'm at Java House and I'm taking this particular cup of coffee. So I know coffee. So with the phishing email, for example, and the spoof the sender is coming from Java. Just say something like, Jones, we realized that you're a very reliable and frequent member of Java House, and to mark our 30th anniversary, we are going to give you free coffee on this particular date. So for you to get it, we need your information so that you can process this gift for you. So just click this link and fill in your information. So because I'm Jones, I go to Java, this Java, so I'm excited. Oh, so they finally acknowledge that I go there every Tuesday. Fine. I go there, type my information. I give them my email address and also my password, for example, happens to be, they make up those kind of forms. And one mistake that Jones does is that he uses all his social, all the passwords for the Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. He uses the same password. And sadly, for this Twitter and Facebook, he might be using the same information for the website. So now let me try and see if this information that he has provided can get me into their website. Voila! Now that's where you say I'm in. And at the end of the day, that's social engineering. They have not used any technical expertise, maybe created a program to come in. So no, it's something that actually they've social engineered. They've hacked your human brain, and they finally gotten the information they want. So the particular misconceptions that may lie, just as I mentioned before, the 3 misconceptions, I think moving forward, people should not view black hat hackers as being extraordinary people or geeks in any particular sense. There are people like you, there are people like me, there are people like anybody else, our friends out there. Because today I may be talking to you right now, then once I'm done here, I power up my machine and start probing some other networks out there. So black hats don't look any differently from either of us. And also, they don't think any differently than any of us. I hope that information tries and gives you a picture of what black hat is all about and how they think and something like that.
Thank you so much, Jones, for taking us through the mind of a black hat hacker. And disclaimer, Jones is not a black hat hacker.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to this channel so that you get more of this useful information. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much, Jones.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure having you.